welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
You're here because, well, you want to get smart, fast about things that matter. You want those aha moments, but without feeling totally overwhelmed.
Definitely. And today we're diving into something pretty intimate.
Yeah, really intimate. We're looking at the art, the technique of oral sex, specifically aimed at female orgasm.
And our guide for this is Dr. Sonia Borg's book, 8 Ways to Make Her Come Orally. What's cool about it, I think, is that it's not just a list of techniques.
Right.
It really explores different scenarios, the psychology of arousal. It's all geared towards boosting confidence, satisfaction, even a sense of adventure.
Exactly. So our mission, our goal for this deep dive is to pull out those key insights, the practical knowledge from Dr. Borg's work.
Yeah.
We want to give you more than just techniques. We want a deeper understanding.
Okay. So where do we start? The book kicks off with the philosophy behind it all, doesn't it?
It does, the philosophy of cunnilingus.
Yeah.
And right away, Dr. Borg positions it not as like a chore, but as this really significant expression of intimacy, a gift almost.
Yeah, a cherished gift that really sets the tone. And she stresses how for many women it's highly desired, and for some, well, it's actually necessary for orgasm.
Makes sense. And she points out the unique sensory aspect compared to intercourse. You know, taste, smell, touch, all happening at once. It's different.
Totally different. Plus, and I really like this part, she frames it as a skill, something you can learn, practice, actually master, not some magic thing you either have or don't.
Which is empowering, right?
Absolutely. And it ties into the book's focus on not just the physical, the technical skills, but also that psychological side of arousal. They go hand in hand.
Okay, so if it's a skill, you need to know the basics, the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Which brings us to anatomy.
Essential female anatomy. Dr. Borg uses this great analogy, something like, you can't drive her crazy if you don't know where her buttons are.
Huh. Love that. It's true, though. You need the map.
Exactly. And the book lays it out pretty clearly. Starts with the vulva, that's kind of the whole external package deal.
Right. Then it breaks it down. You've got the mons veneris, that cushiony mound up top. Sensitive, sure, but usually not where the main event happens, orgasm-wise.
Then the labia majora, the outer lips. Sensitivity varies, maybe increases a bit with hair removal. The book notes.
And the labia minora, the inner lips. These are more sensitive, and they actually swell up, change color a bit when she gets aroused, kind of a visual cue.
Yeah, things are warming up.
And then the clitoris, often the star of the show. Dr. Borg really highlights that this is the only organ just for pleasure, packed with, what, 8,000 nerve endings?
An incredible number, and part of a much bigger internal network, too. It explains why most female orgasms are, well, clitoral orgasms.
The book also details the clitoral hood, which sort of protects the glands.
And the glands itself, the little nub and the shaft beneath it, that's usually the main focus for stimulation, right?
Yeah, but it's not just what you see on the surface.
No, exactly. The book talks about the internal parts, too.
Yeah.
The crura, like internal wings extending back, and the vestibular bulbs, a reptile tissue on either side that swells up, all contributes to the overall feeling.
It's a whole system. Dr. Borg also mentions the front commissure-sensitive spot above the clitoris and the fourchette, down at the bottom near the perineum.
And of course, the vagina itself, that amazing elastic canal, expands, lubricates when she's turned on.
Inside there, too, you've got points of interest, like the cervix, way at the back.
Yeah.
Some women find stimulation there incredibly intense, can lead to different kinds of orgasms.
And the famous G-spot, that sort of spongy area on the front wall. Though the book is good to point out, sensitivity there varies a lot.
Really varies, which is key. Everyone's body is different.
Totally. The book also touches on the urethra and the U-spot around its opening, another potential sensitive zone. Plus the glands involved in lubrication like Bartholin's and swelling, like Skene's glands.
It even mentions the anus, which is rich in nerve endings, and some women enjoy stimulation there. It's about knowing all the possibilities.
And one more really important piece of anatomy, the PC muscle. Pelvic floor muscle.
Ah, yeah, the Kegel muscle.
Exactly. Controls urine flow, but crucially, it contracts during orgasm. Dr. Borg emphasizes strengthening it. Kegels can really ramp up pleasure, for both partners, actually.
How so?
Well, stronger contractions during orgasm, potentially more intense feelings, maybe a feeling of a tighter grip during intercourse. The book even gives tips on finding it and working it out.
Okay, so knowing the map, the anatomy, is step one. Step two is understanding how it all responds, right? The sexual response cycle.
Yeah, and Dr. Borg outlines this too. She makes the point, again, that while there are general stages, individual experiences can differ quite a bit.
So what are the early signs? Book says things like increased heart rate, blood pressure, muscles tensing up.
Lubrication starting, nipples getting erect, the clitoris starting to swell, little signals that things are getting going. You need to pay attention to those.
And then as arousal builds.
Breathing gets deeper, maybe faster. Moaning, gasping sounds. Muscle tension increases. You might see toes curling, little spasms even. Sweating can start.
And visually.
The genitals might look darker, flushed because of all the blood flow. The clitoris gets bigger, more prominent. Breasts might seem fuller. Sometimes a sex flush appears on the skin, like the chest or neck.
Okay, building, and then orgasm. Yeah. What happens then?
Rhythmic muscle contractions, especially that PC muscle we talked about. The whole body might get really tense, rigid for a moment at the peak. Sometimes there's ejaculation, female ejaculation, and that flush might get brighter. It's a big release.
A very physiological event.
Definitely. And then what happens after the orgasm, or the last one if there are multiples? That refractory phase.
Right, the cool down. But it's important.
Very important. Dr. Borg points out the clitoris and nipples can be super sensitive, maybe even uncomfortable to touch right away. The flush fades. And importantly, oxytocin gets released.
The cuddle hormone.
Yeah, that bonding hormone. She suggests giving this phase real time, maybe 20 minutes or so. Don't just stop. It's part of the whole experience, a time for closeness.
That really highlights that it's not just about the peak, is it?
Not at all. And the book also lists tons of other erogenous zones: neck, ears, breasts, inner thighs, back, lips, stomach. You name it, the whole body can be involved.
A whole landscape of pleasure points. And then there's that statistic the book includes. It takes, on average, something like 20 minutes of direct clitoral stimulation for a woman to orgasm.
Compared to maybe 2 to 5 minutes for the average man during intercourse, yeah.
That difference is huge. It really underlines why dedicated oral stimulation can be so crucial for so many women's satisfaction.
Absolutely. And it probably explains why Dr. Borg puts such an emphasis on not just doing it, but making it, well, more intense, more memorable by combining it with other sensual stuff.
Yeah.
Which leads us to those 8 scenarios.
Okay, this is where it gets really creative.
Yeah.
These aren't just techniques, they're like themed experiences.
Exactly. Like the whole donut massage, it's not just a quick rub down. It's a slow, full body massage that gradually sensually incorporates the genitals. The whole point is that luxurious buildup, making the whole body feel connected.
The insight there seems to be about slowing down, paying attention, really reading her body's responses, not rushing it.
Precisely. Then there's Morning Thunder. This one involves her straddling your face.
Puts her in control.
Right. And the book suggests using things like lip vibrations against her clitoris. You become her sort of personal pleasure device.
Interesting. And the royal treatment. Sounds fun.
It is. She's seated maybe on the edge of the bed or a chair like a queen on a throne. And the focus is on this kind of worshipful approach using specific finger and tongue techniques from that different angle.
I like the variety. What else? Light her fire. Sounds warm.
Yeah, it literally suggests setting a romantic scene, maybe with a fireplace if you have one, and performing oral sex there. Maybe adding warming gels, even incorporating a dildo, creating a whole atmosphere.
Okay. Then Wet and Wild.
Takes it to the bath or hot tub. Explores how water changes the sensations, maybe alternating oral with manual or toy stimulation underwater. That different environment adds a whole new layer.
And for the fantasy lovers.
The Harlequin Special. This one uses erotic romance novels, reading them aloud, maybe acting out parts of a scene, using the story as inspiration for the foreplay and the oral sex itself.
That's where the specific licks came in, right? The lollipop lick.
Yeah, the lollipop lick, the darting tongue technique mentioned in that context. It shows how blending fantasy and technique can work.
Clever. Then there's the wake-up call.
Simple but effective, using morning oral sex as her alarm clock. The focus is on quick, efficient techniques, like a light feathering tongue to gently bring her into pleasure and the day.
What a way to wake up.
Yeah.
And the last one, thrill her from head to toe.
This one brings in foot play, starting with maybe a pedicure, foot massage, worship, leading eventually up the body to oral sex, connecting different pleasure zones, building anticipation.
So across all these scenarios, the big idea is what?
Yeah.
Making it special.
Yeah, making it more memorable. Engaging more senses, creating a mood, playing with fantasy, elevating it beyond just a physical act into a whole experience.
That makes sense. And beyond these scenarios, the book has general tips too, right? Things that apply no matter the theme.
Definitely. Like being really aware of her mood. Is she wanting something slow and sensual or fast and intense? And offering reassurance is key, especially if she sometimes finds orgasm difficult creating that safe space.
Communication comes up a lot, too. Verbal foreplay.
Huge. The book even says explicitly that many women need to hear what you want to do in detail. It gets the mind involved, builds anticipation. That mental connection is just as vital.
And a reassuring point for some guys, maybe.
Right.
The book basically says your skill with your mouth and hands matters way more than penis size for her pleasure.
That's a big one. And it also mentions a practical benefit. Focusing on cunnilingus can actually help men last longer when it comes to intercourse later. Gives you more control.
What about technique nuances, like teasing?
Yeah, pulling back sometimes, building up intensity, then easing off slightly before going back in. It can apparently make the final orgasm feel even stronger, adds dynamism.
And paying attention to feedback.
Crucial. Constantly watch her body language. Is she pushing closer? That probably means more pressure, or keep doing what you're doing. Are her hips moving faster or slower? Match her rhythm. Is she pulling away slightly? Might need less intensity or a change of pace. It's a dialogue.
Even the foot play thing in that last scenario of the book kind of normalizes it, right?
Yeah.
Distinguishes between just enjoying it and it being a specific fetish. It's all about individual preference.
Exactly, respecting what feels good to her. So if we boil it all down, what's the core message here from Dr. Borg?
Right. Connecting back to our goal for this deep dive, it really goes beyond just the mechanics. It emphasizes cunnilingus as intimacy, the absolute need to understand her body and her response cycle.
And the power of mixing those techniques with creative, sensual scenarios to make it truly memorable.
Yeah. The big takeaways for me are, 1, this is a deeply valued act for many women. 2, knowing the anatomy and response cycle isn't optional, it's essential. And 3, getting creative, adding those sensual layers can really elevate the experience.
And fundamentally, that it's a skill. Something you can learn, practice, get really good at. It's not magic, it's learnable. And that knowledge, that skill, builds confidence and satisfaction for everyone involved.
Totally. So as we wrap this up, here's something to think about. How could taking some of these ideas on understanding her desires more deeply, trying some of these techniques or scenarios, how could that genuinely change your own intimate experiences?
Could adding a bit more adventure, maybe just more open communication about this stuff, enhance that connection you have?
It's really an invitation, isn't it? To explore, to talk, maybe discover some new levels of pleasure and intimacy together.
Definitely something to consider.
Thanks for taking the plunge with us on this deep dive.